with me here I have Mr. John Trob. John, just give us a little background of where your time in the game of golf.
Yeah, I've been a club professional 37 years. I was the head golf professional at Detroit Golf Club before retiring in 2001. I had the opportunity to play the PGA Tour for 2 years while I was still at a club, and I won the National Club Pro Championship and a number of other tournaments in our section and nationally. But one of my greatest experiences were, I had numerous ones playing the tour, was meeting Ben Hogan in 1987, I believe. We had dinner, myself, Mr. Hogan, the national sales manager from the Ben Hogan Company, and the president of the company at Shady Oaks. And before Mr. Hogan arrived, the two gentlemen I was with said, "We don't know what to expect. This could be a good night, it could be a bad night." So we were all seated when Mr. Hogan, his chauffeur, brought him to the club, introduced himself to me, and I was shaking his hands, and I was looking into his eyes, and he had the most piercing, intimidating eyes of any player I've ever played. I mean, when I shook his hands, I didn't know if he was looking at me or through me or behind me. So he sat down and kind of quiet for the first few minutes, and then he ordered a drink and he started talking. Not to belabor Mr. Hogan, but he had a few drinks that night, and the more he drank, the more he talked. So within a reasonable amount of time, I'd heard a number of players ask Mr. Hogan a question about the golf swing, and he always kind of put him down. So I said, "I don't care, I'm going to ask him." So I said, "Mr. Hogan, Al Geiberger had a very upright swing, looked slow, hit the ball 280. Your swing was flat, fast looking, you hit the ball 280. One swing looked slow, Geiberger, one swing looked fast, Hogan, the ball went the same distance. How can you explain that?" And he looked at me and said, "Boy," he says, "have you ever read a book on physics?" And I said, "No, sir." And he said, "Well, I suggest you go buy one and read it." So that's fine. So we went out through the night. He had a couple more drinks. He got very sentimental, talked about all his friends that he missed. I didn't know he was such close friends with Jimmy Demerit. He got sentimental at the end. And at the end of the dinner, he got up, he excused himself, said goodnight. He took 2 steps. And then he turned around, looked at me, and said, "I'd like to see you in my office at 8:15 tomorrow morning." That's okay. And that night, we had a picture taken, which then he sent to me later on, an autographed picture of Ben Hogan and I at dinner. So I showed up the next morning at 8 o'clock at his office, and his secretary says, "Mr. Hogan walks through that door exactly 8:15 every day." I said, "I'd like to go into his office." She says, "Well, I'll let you go in there, just don't touch anything." So I went to his office, I'm looking around, and I grabbed his driver, cord grips, turned over a quarter of an inch according to his club maker, Gene Sheely, and the coarseness of the cord was so sharp it tear the skin right off. And then I looked on his desk, and there was a book of physics open. So that's where he'd got that thing he laid on me the night before. So I looked around, went back. Mr. Hogan came in at 8:15. We sat down in his office for a half hour, chatted. Never anything about the golf swing. Took me through a tour of the factory, showed me how the golf balls were made, came back out. We chatted some more about different things in the industry and his equipment and what he believed what he should do. And he says, "I'll tell you what," he says, "I'll meet you back at Shady Oaks for lunch." I go, "That's great." So he went to a meeting. I did some errands. I met him at Shady Oaks. Went to the maitre d'. I said, "I'm supposed to have dinner with Ben Hogan." He said, "Are you sure?" Or lunch. And Mr. Hogan used to have a big table overlooking 18 Green at Shady Oaks. There was 8 or 10 seats. He was the only one that usually sat there. So he waved me over. We sat down. We had a sandwich. We talked some more. He brought a hard copy of 5 Fundamentals, a book, signed it for me personally, gave it to me, which was great. And I said, "Okay." I says, "I'm going to excuse myself. I go get to catch my flight. Thank you for everything." So I went in the golf shop. I called the airline. My flight was being delayed. So the golf pro, I believe his name was Mike, I said, back when I played a lot, I was Big Hogan, and I felt the club should be this, and cupped and a lot of different things. Slung the golf club, not swing it. He felt like he should slung it.
Sling it, yeah.
So I was out hitting some balls. Mike said, go back down there in the corner where Hogan hits balls. And I've got a club in my hand. I hit a bunch of shots and working on different things. And all of a sudden I look down and there's 2 shoes 3 feet from my ball. I kind of looked up and it was Hogan. He says, go ahead and hit some, Sonny. And I hit a half a dozen to 8, 9, 10 shots. And he grunted and walked away, and I never saw him again. I went in the golf shop and he says, and I know Nick Faldo and I know a bunch of guys who wanted to have him watch. Hogan wouldn't watch. He says, Hogan's only watched, I don't know how many guys in his life hit balls. And I said, I watch out the window of him watching you hit balls. He said, I've never seen him do that with very many people.
He was watching you
Watching me hit balls. Yeah.
Did you ever read the Chris Shetter book?
Yeah.
That's a great read.
I've read everything. I got a little memento in my office of the Hogan memorabilia I've collected and his signed books and pictures.
Well, that's a fantastic story. I had the good fortune of meeting Mr. Hogan in the factory.
Oh yeah.
And sat in his office.
Yeah.
And had the tour of the factory, and went out to Shady Oaks. But when I had lunch, he was having lunch over in the corner, but I didn't get invited.
You can see that corner of that big table.
Yeah. But look, I really appreciate that, John. That's a great story.
Thank you.
Sharing that with us. And
thank you for sharing your knowledge to me.
well,
It's a great thrill for me.
would you just a little bit more there? So far, we've just discussed a little bit about the grip and this chipping idea, where Square stance with the Key to Golf program. What are your thoughts on that so far?
Well, the thing that I noticed, which I think that golf pros, 2 things that I watch you do. Obviously is the grip, and obviously your idea on how to swing the golf club. But if you watched, and every great striker, Bo Norman or Ben Hogan, at address they had their hands high, but at impact higher. And when you pitched that little chip shot, your hands were,
It went up, yeah.
you had the correct release on the golf club, and people think this is a release. This is the release.
Yeah, correct.
That's what I noticed. Hands high,
Yeah.
release proper.
Excellent.
That's how you compress a golf ball.
Fantastic. Okay, so we're going to put a few shots into practice.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Fred.